welcome to Chicks and Salsa slash Three Chicks in a Pod. How is everybody's week going?
Good. How about yours?
I'm having a really exciting week personally. And then, next week's going to be super busy too. So I think we've all had quite a bit going on. I know you've gone to a ton of events. Candy's been going to events. Carrie's football team is going to the Super Bowl for the 27th time. No, I'm
Can you
joking.
go
It's not
ahead and apply
27,
for
but
the Super Bowl parade, please, ma'am, for media? I would greatly
right.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear? Can you hear us, Carrie?
Am I in? Because it didn't tell me
Yes.
I was in the studio. Okay,
Oh, yes.
sorry.
Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am. So we're really excited about your team going to the Super Bowl. I know on 806 Sports this morning we were talking about dynasties and kind of like where Patrick Mahomes is already. Because there's a lot of people that throw him in the GOAT conversation already, and I do think that doing a three-peat definitely solidifies that a little bit more. There now my co-host on 806 Sports was talking about how the Beatles, their reign over here in the United States from the time they came over and performed on the show and then from the time they broke up was only 7 years. And that's how long Patrick Mahomes has been with the Chiefs. And so normally I'm the type to sit there and say, "Hey, wait, let them finish their career before we go to crowning them the GOAT," right? And but to think about the Beatles and the impact that they've had on rock and roll and music, and all they had over here was 7 years. So maybe he is one of the greatest. I don't know.
So
Thoughts?
I
here's
think
the
he is
thing.
one of the greatest personally, because not many, including Tom Brady, were up for a three-peat. I will
Right.
also say, disclaimer, I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm not an Eagles fan. Probably more Chiefs than Eagles, not going to lie, because
No, you're more of a Bills fan.
Oh
Someone
no.
froze.
I think she
Yeah.
froze.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that we'll get to the conference championships here in just a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about WNBA because we have had a crazy day in WNBA free agency. And so it really started this past Sunday whenever we had the trade between Jewel Lloyd. It was a three-team trade between Jewel Lloyd going from Seattle to Vegas, Kelsey Plum going from Vegas to Los Angeles, Seattle picking up the number 2 pick in the draft. And so we're not going to see the full ramifications for this trade until we know who goes at number 2 during the draft. Um, it's a very interesting trade. I don't know that I see it working out in LA right away. We don't know if Cameron Brink is going to be healthy this season or not. And I think that probably is going to be a huge factor on what happens in LA. However, Kelsey Plum's best friend is De'Erica Hamby. De'Erica Hamby is a star over at the LA Sparks right now. I think that going through a divorce and having a lot going on personally, it probably does your mental health really good to be around your best friend. So when we talk about if a trade, who wins the trade, I think that is somewhat situational because if her mental health is good, then she wins, right?
mm-hmm.
Everyone
So
wins if their mental
I
health
don't know
is
if it's gonna lead. Right. I don't know if it'll lead to success on the court. They have some work to do. They have a new coach this year. They're still going to be working through what they're doing in this upcoming draft. And then obviously they have some health issues too. So there's work to do in LA. Now, on the Seattle side of things, they picked up Nneka Ogwumike before last season. They picked up Skylar Diggins Smith. Losing Joel Lloyd could not be as big a deal because she didn't look right with them this season. She never quite fit when they readjusted their roster. And Jewel Lloyd is somebody, now, don't get me wrong, I'm not big on the nickname, the Gold Mamba, because it seems like everybody's just getting a color and attaching it to the Mamba nickname. And I think it takes away from Kobe, honestly.
I agree on that.
But right, but she's somebody that has been nicknamed the Gold Mamba, and so clearly she's a good shooter, right? She's an excellent shooter. So I think in the right system, it'll look good. Move her back over to the two instead of having to run the point. We don't need her to run the point in Vegas. You got point God over there with Chelsea Gray. So I think her being the number 4 option on maybe one of the best teams of all time, yeah, that's going to take a lot of pressure off of her, and we're going to see Jewel probably get back into her groove again. Now Vegas is still going to have some issues as far as center depth, but the everyone's talking about free agency right now, and BG was probably the biggest piece to announce at the beginning of free agency that she was going to pursue that. So to me personally, um, if BG is going to go into free agency and she's willing to test the market, that tells me that Diana Taurasi is done. I don't think she hasn't officially announced yet. However, we had the goodbye videos last year, and BG, DT, they've always played together. Or in BG's career, I seriously doubt that she would go anywhere if DT was going to be there for another season. So to me, that says that this roster there in Phoenix is probably going to be without BG. Now, bringing up Phoenix, they were a part of a massive trade today as well. Now, Alyssa Thomas, formerly of the Connecticut Sun, was traded to the Phoenix Mercury. So they have Kalia Copper, former Finals MVP from Chicago, the Chicago Sky. They had now Natasha Cloud was a part of this trade as well. Natasha Cloud and Ty Harris will be going to Connecticut, and then AT to Phoenix. It'll look good there in Phoenix, but they're still missing a piece or two. So um, and they gave away a draft pick as well, their first round draft pick, the number 12 pick. So, not something that they're going to be able to address in the draft, but they probably need to do something else during free agency as well. They could land a pretty big piece. Now, some of the pieces that we still have available, Elena Deladon is a free woman. That's right, y'all. I didn't even know this. The deadline came and passed. Washington was supposed to core her by the 21st of January, or they wouldn't have the rights to her this year. So she was not cored. She is now an unrestricted free agent. That is probably her, and then Satu Sabali are probably the biggest pieces left to fall. It's still already kind of been a whirlwind. We're going to continue to get some more news on that. The first is when they're able to sign their contracts. So expect for the next couple of days to be WNBA news left and right. My favorite part about that is every other season during free agency, we're either at Team USA at their mini camp if every other year getting ready for either FIBA or the Olympics while free agency is going on. And so it's usually dramatic. It's messy. It's hard for these ladies to be traded and then have to go do press conferences and act like everything's okay. And so I think this year it's been a little different because they've had Unrivaled, and not only are they completely tampering it Unrivaled, to be perfectly honest, they and I don't know if tampering is the right word for that, but I probably. However, we're able to see the messiness play out immediately instead of having to wait for the WNBA season because these ladies are all playing together at Unrivaled. So, if you like drama, if you like the spiciness, watch women's basketball.
So what you're telling me is we now have a sports daytime drama series? Is that or like the daytime drama
Yes,
series? Okay.
it's prime time now because they're on primetime TNT. Unrivaled is so, and if you haven't gotten a chance to watch Unrivaled, I've just got to talk about the quality of product that they have put out in year one. I'm just so not surprised because it's a player owned league, but I'm so proud of what they've done for women's basketball. And it's almost like watching 5-on-5. So it's 3-on-3, but it's on a condensed court. So it's a little bit smaller because the spacing is a little bit different. But it looks so much like 5-on-5. That's how the game flows. It's just faster pace. I didn't expect Brittany to really do well because of her size. Getting up and down 3-on-3 is so fast. So, and Brittany Griner's not fast. So I didn't think that she would do well, but Brittany Griner's hit a couple of threes in Unrivaled, and she's been doing pretty decent now. If she does end up in Vegas, she's definitely going to have to get in better conditioning and shape. Vegas is very, very fast offense. So she's going to have to run and gun and be able to keep up. But she could be a great piece there. Now, I would rather see Elena Deladon in Vegas than BG, but I think we're on the verge of hearing news that BG will be in Vegas very soon.
That makes sense.
That's awesome. No, I have a quick question for you, Megan. I'm hearing more and more rumors here locally about the Charlotte Sting making a comeback because, as you know, the Sting went to Seattle, and then they changed names, I believe. And so I'm hearing more and more rumors they may be coming back to Charlotte. Have you heard anything on your end?
There's actually 17 cities that have bids in right now for WNBA expansion teams, and that doesn't include the 3 that have already come to fruition here. So this upcoming season, we're going to see Golden State. They have a sister team, the Valkyries. Next season, we're going to see Portland with a sister team, and then Toronto as well. I don't know that the Portland name is out, but the Toronto name is the Tempo. And I hated it at first, and I hated the logo because it's like they stole the Pacers logo. But they've adjusted a few things, and it looks a lot better now. So it's kind of growing on me a little bit. I don't want to sit there and say I'd be a Toronto fan or anything like that, but the logo looks a lot better than it originally started. Huh?
You know, you like your Drake and the Kendrick Drake rap off.
My beef with Toronto is Kawhi specific.
I know your moniker in one of our chats.
I'm not gonna cuss because we're
family friendly and we're positive.
But the nickname, it cusses a little. Anyway, I'm not a fan of Kawhi. Kawhi left San Antonio and went and won a championship there in Toronto. So still a little salty. Oh, but before I jump out of here, we did hear some news NBA wise as well for one of my teams, or my only team. San Antonio seems to be the destination that De'Aaron Fox wants to land. So I don't know what we've got to give up in the process to get De'Aaron Fox next to Wemby, but if that happens, no, you don't give up
Wemby to Charlotte.
Wemby will never. Wemby's not leaving. However, I do think our rookie could be one of the trading pieces, and I hate to see him go because he's performed so well. He's somebody that came into the league starter ready, and that just doesn't happen in San Antonio. The only people that came in as a rookie and started are Wemby and Timmy, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just have you help solidify what I think I know. Is De'Aaron Fox, wasn't he part of the Clippers? Am I?
He's the Kings. He's with the Kings.
Kings. Okay. Yeah, I got the wrong team, but I had the right
state.
Right state, wrong team. You all know that NBA is my albatross, so I keep trying to learn more and be more knowledge, but I knew who you were talking about though, because I could picture him and I knew who he was, and he's an exciting piece to add to a team. So yeah, that would be awesome.
He is absolutely. Now he was a part of the Kings team that had Tyrese Halliburton and then him, and they were basically sharing minutes but progressing at the same pace as well. So they had to be split up because they were sharing minutes, and in reality they are, they're both superstars in their own right. So Tyrese is now in Indiana as a superstar with his own team. De'Aaron was one of the main stars there in Sacramento, but looks like he's ready to get out of Sacramento. I think it's been, from what I've heard, was that he has some ties to San Antonio, or his wife has some ties to San Antonio, and so she's from the state of Texas, and I think maybe being able to go home for them and they have a family, that's probably the motivation behind that. But who wouldn't want to play with Wemby?
That in itself would be. Oh, Jen probably had to drop out because of internet. She'll be back.
Indeed. So I guess let's go ahead and jump into conference championships. And obviously, Carrie, talk to us about the game versus the Bills, and then what you expect out of the Super Bowl.
Okay, so I'm going to say that and I'm fuzzy on the timeline because I don't have anything to latch in, but it was in August. So was it before preseason or during preseason? I told an Eagles fan that I have met through all of the different pages I've been on that I predicted a rematch in the Super Bowl. And this was in August, just based off that was before were slammed with injuries. So that was just based off what the rosters look like. And I'm like, I understand everybody is very big on the Lions, but this is, based on what I was seeing as rosters, those were going to be two very dominant, our team and the Eagles were going to be very dominant. As this season has progressed, the one team that makes me anxious, because I have watched a lot of Eagles games, because, good old, I'm such a sweetheart. No, not really. But that's Rob's team. Okay. So we spend a lot of time
Right.
watching football. We watch it, we hear it, we live it. And his Eagles defense is frightening.
They are.
I mean, and then you've got Saquon. So I think this is the best matchup that could be have played out, in my opinion. Just because the way the
Agreed.
season has rolled in the last month or so, not based on anything else, just the way that our team was finally falling into pieces together, like we have seen them do in the past. So that, I feel like it's evenly matched. I understand that Saquon is a freak as far as his abilities on a field. I mean,
Right.
who can
Right.
jump over backwards somebody and clear them and still continue running? Obviously, I can't jump over a line on the ground, let alone a whole human. So
Right.
his talents are amazing, and the team is a phenomenal team. There's not many pieces on that team that I wouldn't want on my team. So I feel like it's a really good matchup. They were the one team going in. I'm like, if we go against the Eagles, there is a lot of questions in my mind how we match up and handle. Do I have faith in Andy and Spagnola? Absolutely. Because I think they can do it. But I think it'll be a very well matched team game. I know everybody's really angry that this is what we're getting and life goes on. I do want to read this about.
I think you're right though. Like it's the best matchup. Like from what we saw out of Washington in the conference championship game, clearly Philly's the one that needs to be there. I think the NFC was really lackluster this year, like all the way around. And then to be perfectly honest, there was a point in this season when we were 2/3 of the way through, and 65% of the teams were under 500. So that it may not have just been NFC, really.
No.
I think that you got the Lions out there, had they not had a million injuries and then have to replace their defense,
Right.
but like they had a total of 18 defensive players at some point on their IR during the season. That's obtuse. I think that
Yeah, it's
kind
devastating.
of snake bit them, but by the time they got to the postseason, they were running on fumes. And we saw that when they went up against the Commanders. And that's what I
Agreed.
feel like. I'm like, there's only so many times that you're going to be able to prop up something that is falling apart before something gives.
And Megan,
And like I
do
think
a little bit on
Candy.
NFC.
I can't hear you.
If you look at the NFC North, look at 3 of the teams were in the playoffs. You
Yep.
know, from
right, but then you look at the rest. Like look at the NFC West, terrible. NFC South, terrible. And then I mean, don't get me wrong, NFC East, obviously they had 2 teams that were in the conference championship, but the other 2 teams, my team included, buns, terrible. So I think it was just a very lackluster year for a couple of the divisions on the NFC. Now, like you said, NFC North, man, they really made a comeback this year. And I personally didn't expect that out of Minnesota. They did exactly what I thought they would do in the postseason, though.
So
I'm
I'm
gonna
going
throw
to say this, that
I was gonna
I
throw a
think
compliment out
that
to Jen's
Dan
team, too.
Campbell actually lost with the play he called at the last during the 2 weeks ago. That's what screwed the Lions up. I'm not trying to be mean. With the Vikings, Y'all are gonna tell me that I'm crazy, but honestly, Sam Darnold has had it in him all along. He didn't have the right coaching staff. The right
Mm,
coach came along under the name of Steve Wilkes, and his turnaround started when Steve Wilkes took over for the Panthers. Coach Wilkes then took Sam Darnold with him to the 49ers. And even though he was the DC, he still kept helping him out. And then obviously, Wilkes was fired. Then he went to the Vikings, and they've done a remarkable job, like bringing the best out in him.
they have.
For the Lions, I mean, I felt really bad for them. I felt bad for Jordan Love and the Packers too. For the Commanders, what they did this season is
Mhm.
amazing. No one ever should shortchange them.
Right.
That's what I'm going to say with that, because honestly, like, I can't just say Jaden Daniels is obviously he's remarkable, no shade
Mhm.
whatsoever. But the rest of the guys have been there. The rest of the guys have been gelling. It took creating a different culture, because these
Mhm.
guys that have been there for a while, look at Trent Williams with the 49ers. He didn't want to come back. He was like, hey, Coach Rivera, I love you. And obviously Rivera's not there anymore. He was like, I love you, man. You're cool dude, but I'm out. I've been treated like crap by this organization and Dan Snyder. Bye, honey.
Bye,
Have fun.
Bye,
ladies.
Megan. Enjoy.
Thank you.
And so I think that the fact that they've continued to build, that they've built this new culture in a season is amazing. And I love that Dan Snyder hates it. I'll also say that, what was I going to say? I felt really bad for the Packers. Sorry, Candy. I really thought it was going to be y'all's year. But I'm going to say this in favor of you, and I was trying to say this earlier. First of all, congratulations to Jalen Hurts. You finally did 4 quarters. I'm very proud of you. It took 8 years. So congratulations, Jalen. Very proud of you to do 4 full quarters, and they were great quarters. But I'm also going to say that people who are saying that the refs are being paid off by the Chiefs, get a life. You're besmirching one of the best coaches ever. You're besmirching one of the best quarterbacks. Quarterbacks talk to refs. Refs talk to quarterbacks. It doesn't matter the game. It could be the Panthers versus the Jags, and you're still going to see the quarterbacks talking to the refs.
Okay, so you've seen the picture that has not, well, I've seen it because it's shared, obviously because of my fan base, right? But the only time that I've seen, and this is just saying in what I can recollect, Josh Allen sitting on the warming bench, and was it Sheffers that walks over to talk to him on the bench, leaves the field, and comes talks to him on the bench. And the internet was, no one is worried about that.
No.
The refs talk to Patrick on the field, and they lose their absolute freaking minds.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, but here's the one thing I want to say is, and then I'm going to go back to something, how I felt in February. Okay. This was at the post game, CBS, Nate Burleson, after we won. He says, resist the urge to fall for the narrative that we're tired of seeing the Chiefs win, that we might be fatigued of watching KC go to the Super Bowl. You are witnessing greatness, and just be happy that you're alive to be able to see it. And this is the same person that has chose the other teams opposed to the Chiefs multiple times this season, because the Chiefs aren't the Chiefs, because they were not. I mean, this was the first game. The championship game was the first time we broke the 30-point mark. But our team required us to break. I mean, the situation, the Bills required us to break that 30-point mark. But every other game we have kept under 30 points this entire season. But what you are seeing with Andy, what you're seeing with Spags, what you're seeing with Mahomes, and then every other person, and then Dan Orlovsky said this, is the Chiefs go out and play like every play determines a championship. It's the end of the first quarter with 2 minutes or 3 minutes left. Down 5, 3rd and 5. That's a championship play. Second quarter, 13 minutes left on the clock. second drive. That's a championship play. We're up against the, our defense goes out and does the same thing. And that's because I know for a fact that just watching Spags and Andy is they teach situational football. They coach that. They imprint it on the team, and that's how the team reacts is okay, in this situation, this is what's going to be. I also feel like that Andy is very a proponent of his players knowing what the rules are and how to use them to their advantage. So that being said, Patrick did say that his flop in the third quarter of the Texans game. He goes, that was too much, and I know it. I knew at the time it was too much, but I thought I'd try anyway. Every player tries for the call, and don't tell me they don't, because you watch everybody get up and go like this. I mean, all teams do that. So I love the story. Oh, go ahead.
And then I'll shut up and let Candy talk because I feel like she has something else to say. But the better team is always going to get the call if it's a torn call. Hands down, bottom line. I don't care, again, if it's the Jags versus the Jets, the Panthers versus the Jets. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm a total homer, but I fully admit where my team is. And right now in 2025, we are undefeated. Just saying, got to take the victories. But
but I feel like your team is going to be something to reckon with this next year. I'll just put that out there on that's the sleeper team.
Oh yeah, Dave Canales benching Bryce Young was the best thing ever, and I'm really proud of Dave Canales for doing that because my dad and I had been saying that since last year. Bryce needed to be sat so he could see a little bit of the difference between college and NFL. Like you just did, and honestly, Miles Sanders, if you happen to be watching us on any of the streaming platforms, thank you, Candy Cane. I owe you an apology because I gave several players on my Panthers last year grace, but I failed to give you grace because you were in just a messed up coaching position as everybody else on the Panthers. So my apologies, sir, and great last game. Okay. Candy.
One of the things I'm going to say about playoff football is you cannot overcome making your own mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is we saw Jared Goff in the regular season have 5 turnovers and they still won the game. You can't do that in playoff football. You can't make head and mental mistakes and think you're going to win because you are playing at the other team is playing it at such a different level. And so if you're going to make mental mistakes, throwing mistakes, drops, whatever it is, you're more vulnerable to losing the game than you are to winning the game. Last night, Scott did a Motor City Mad Mall show on the South Florida Tribune podcast, and it was with Don Beebe, who played with the Buffalo Bills inaugural season with the Carolina Panthers, and then with the Packers and won Super Bowl with the Packers. And he said defense and running make the championship. He said he feels this game is going to come down to if somebody makes mistakes, is it going to stick in their head and carry over and they're going to make more and more and more. It's the team that can overcome that and let it go. And that's the one thing I think that Kansas City has really been able to do. If you make a mistake, you fumble, you get right back up and you go.
The one game we didn't was our loss to the Bills. Mm-hmm. And that's when Patrick tried to take the entire team on his back. And what happened? We lost.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I saw that. I was like, this isn't normal Patrick Mahomes behavior.
Mm-hmm. And you're right. Whereas the Eagles and Commanders was a high-flying, action-packed game. The Chiefs and Bills was a battle of wills with the same result. I mean, it's the same thing. And the Bills Josh didn't make any mistakes. But I think there were times where our defense was making it uncomfortable for him for some reason. Spags was able to get to him and making him uncomfortable. And when that started happening is when Josh started making uncharacteristic of this season plays. And the other thing I'm going to say about the Bills is we couldn't stop Josh when he was running with the football to gain the short yardage.
Right.
The inches, the yard or less. Why? After we had already stopped you twice when you were trying to do something similar to the tush push for 2 points, 2 times. We had stopped you one time already. Why didn't Josh just tuck it and run for those inches? He would have made it. It was the sea of people he couldn't get over.
I think when you get away from what got you there, from what worked during the regular season, and you did ground and pound, and you did it how many times, when you get away from that, you're going to lose because that's not what got you there. You got to keep doing what got you there.
The one thing I'm going to say, and then we can move on to our happy story or whatever else.
Well, I'm going to also say one more thing in a minute, and I'm taking you out of the equation because you've got a dog in this fight. Because you've got a divided house.
We do. And we're already teasing each other. So when we were at the rally at the parade, and this was all before all hell broke loose and the guns were fighting.
I'm sorry.
As fans, we were celebrating our Super Bowl win back to back. That was awesome. We were celebrating. The team was already in the mindset, we're going for 3 now. When I listening to what the coaches, what even Lamar Hunt, or not, what Hunt said, what Patrick said, they were like, yeah, this is great, but we're not done. We have something even bigger that we're going for. And I left there saying I told Rob, they're going to be in the Super Bowl next year. And then I kind of got, well, that was just me leaving. No, I think that if I had, betting wasn't legal in Missouri, blah, 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 blah. I should have gotten a way to put money down on the Chiefs in February because I would have been sitting with some nice little tidy income right now because it just got legalized. And I fell out of that whole confidence thing because I was removed from it that far. That day, I left there feeling that my team nothing was going to stop them until their mission was complete, and that was going to the Super Bowl again this year. And they spoke it and made it into fruition because they pushed themselves and that they didn't settle for less. Now I'll take myself out.
Okay. So, Candy, tell me if you think this is correct or not. With what y'all were just saying about especially your point about not being able to get over the errors mentally. I feel like that's what Jalen Hurts and the Eagles really need to improve upon because I don't think it's written in the sand, written in the stars, or written in NFLPA or Roger Goodell. Like, obviously, Roger Goodell kind of wants that 3P for viewership's sake. Let's not lie. But I feel like that's going to be the downfall of the Eagles. Jalen Hurts has a hard time getting over mental errors. I think that's why he had such a great game Sunday. He didn't have any in the first half because I've oftentimes said, Jalen can usually play one half or the other. It's always like, if we're playing them, I always hope he has his best half in the first half so that my guys can come back in the second half. Because my guys for the last 6 years, have not been good enough to come back from a deficit like that. But what do you think? I mean, I kind of feel like the Chiefs are going to pull it off. I'm sorry, Eagles fans. I'm not trying to be mean, but Patrick Mahomes has that ability. Travis Kelce has that ability. Juju Schuster-Smith has that ability. With an error, get over it. The guy that couldn't get over the error, Carey, who was it last year, who kept stepping like his toe over the line of scrimmage?
Javon Taylor.
Taylor. Y'all got rid of him, right?
No.
Oh, Andy fixed him this past summer.
Yeah, he has had the calls in different games. Sunday he did not get called a single call. which is not something that happens often. The other thing that I'm worried about, because our O-line, our left tackle is our.
Wait, you didn't let Candy answer my question.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I think
I love you, Carrie. You can go back and you can close this out because this can be our happy story.
No,
I think the Chiefs this year have found a way to win games that maybe when you were watching them, you're like, ooh, they're vulnerable. They might not pull this off. And they found ways to win. With that being said, though, if the Eagles are playing their game and their defense is number 1 and number 2 against the running and the pass, so they're way up there. If their defense and Saquon goes off, the Chiefs are going to have a hard time keeping up with them. That's just my honest opinion. I'm excited because not only I'm not going to be at the game, but I'm going to be at Super Bowl week with some of these, and I'll be able to, talk to some of these players. And I've never done that before, so I'm really excited for that experience.
Expect you to get an interview with Cam.
I'll see what I can do.
I believe in you.
But I think it's good. I do believe it could very well be a really good game, but I also think it could go one-sided if Philadelphia's defense and, like I said, and Saquon go off, because they're capable of it, but like you've said, they have to play 4 quarters.
Yeah. Okay, Carrie, tell me about your O-line.
No, I just think that's where we've been suspect, and they were letting a rookie and second-year player protect Patrick, that's not bad. They have not progressed as quickly as we had hoped. And so instead of having Joe Tooney in closer to the center, which gives Patrick a perfect pocket, he's in left tackle, and that's just not he's played that previously. That's not where he excels, but he does a very good job. So the Eagles will expose that. There's no sense in denying that's the one place they're going to go and expose. So that's going to be, I seriously hope it is not a repeat of Tampa Bay and us in the Super Bowl. I want more than 3 points. I demand more than 3 points. But that's where my fear is. I did not have that with any other team other than the Eagles.
Okay.
And so
And
in my heart,
I know it's bad. I just don't like the Eagles that much. Like, their fans are just so gross.
Well, I have so many people
No offense, Rob, I love
dearly love, and have been privileged to meet through Rob, and have grown to be, they're part of my family now. They're my people too. In all actuality, if we could have just a tie and just call it even and go on our merry way, it would make my heart feel better. Because I can tell you that I put nearly 1,000 steps on my Fitbit. It was like over 800 for sure, pacing that last quarter. So I can't imagine what it's going to be like in a week and a half. Some part of me does not want to imagine that yet, so that's fine. But regardless of where we are, and whether or not you like the Chiefs, whether or not you like Patrick, I didn't like Tom. I didn't like Belichick. That was not even something I've ever hidden. And now that I've had a chance to understand Belichick and see him outside of a head coach, he's very impressive man to listen to. Like, I have learned and see a lot. I'm excited for Jen and see where.
I'm excited for ACC kickoff. Hell yeah!
So, like, there's so many things that I'm excited.
Katie, you want to come with me?
Tom, we're going to have to listen to for the Super Bowl, and we may do the same thing we did with Tony Romo and mute the TV. We'll see.
This is not me being a homer at all right now. Fox screwed up. Next year, in 2 years when they have it again, they need Greg Olson calling it, because the difference is Greg Olson can feel the game. He can also eloquently and educationally discuss the game, whereas Tom feels the game and he knows it. But Greg is just better, and I'm not being a homer there. I'm really
the other
not.
thing I'm going to tell you is Troy Aikman and Tom Brady both have said a lot of disparaging things about Patrick, or talking about the refereeing and things like this. The reason I feel like deep down in my heart, because Mahomes broke Aikman's record when Aikman was calling our game. Surpassed him.
Like that.
Aikman didn't even say anything. They never said anything about it in the broadcast. It was during the halftime presentation that the desk people brought that to the attention. It was never mentioned in the call. Tom Brady does not want to be in the same conversation as Mahomes. I think that, I mean, just the way that he presents that, I sit there and listen. I'm like, is that jealousy, or is that you actually making an observation? And I think that he is currently not biased, because Mahomes is surpassing things at an earlier, a faster pace than Brady did. And I think that there's some of that whole, like Dickerson with not wanting Saquon to break his record. There are things about you that you do not want your records, your things to be dismissed so quickly. But that's why records exist, is because that's to help further whatever the record is in. If it's stacking cups in a corner, yes, you can have the record, but that's giving somebody the goal to pass your record. You don't get to own it for prosperity.
Hey, Carrie.
Yeah.
Do you have availability this week so we can do a second podcast? Because I want to keep talking, but Candy and I have to do South Florida Tribune in about 12 minutes.
No, and I took over the cast, and I am sorry, folks.
No, why are you sorry? You're excited, girl. You have a
this is my
Olympics.
This is my prime time, and I'm also very sad that we only have one game left. NFL is my favorite time of the year.
Yes.
Do not plan things for me on Sundays. Please don't plan for me on Monday nights, things like that, because
so February 9th, you want to come down and visit? Okay, Carrie, seriously, let's talk. Ping me, like, let me know your schedule. Let's do another chat, because we can, the three of us can talk football all night. Yeah. But I mean, you have a lot more to say, but Candy and I do have to bounce.
No, I appreciate you all letting me have a little bit of a floor, and I won't be rude next time and take it over. So sorry.
No, so Candy, you tell everybody where they can find you.
So you can find me on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. You can always find me here Tuesday nights. We do want to announce that we are now we are broadcasting via podcast. So wherever you catch your podcast, you can catch us. 3 Chicks in a Pod. We're going to be on Apple. We're going to be on iHeartRadio, Castbox, Deezer, Spotify, Spreaker, like all of the Geo7, Podcast Addict, all of them we're going to be on. So catch us. Make sure you listen and share us with all your friends and family.
Yeah, please. We're fun. We're friends. We actually have something special, and we're actually chicks who know sports, and we talk it.
Exactly.
Especially a big shout out to Candy. She's our happy story. She has made us available on all of these platforms.
Yes.
It was with Jen's suggestion, and Candy took the legwork and made it happen. And so here's me,
because Jen could not figure it out.
These two ladies have taken us to the next level, and we appreciate all that have stayed with us this long. And we hope to grow and see more of you as the days progress.
Well, and Carrie got us here on Riverside, so we all contributed. We all have our from what we're contributing to, and I just love being a part of this women's chicks talking sports. Gotta love it.
Me too. Now, Carrie, where can everybody find you?
I am in. I sadly am not fond of any other platform. I'm questioning whether I like Facebook currently, but I'm on Facebook, Carrie Johnson. You can find me and you can send me messages on Instagram. You can send me messages on Instagram is Chief Chick 87. I believe that's my call sign for Twitter as well. Send me messages. I get those. I'm just not really good about being active on those platforms, but always reach out. Throw a smoke signal in the air. I live in the middle of the United States. Maybe I'll catch it that way too.
And I'll tell everybody where to find Megan as well. And also, we've all forgotten, y'all can hit us up on our Facebook page, 3 Chicks in a Pod. And if you guys have any ideas, DM any one of us. We all have, or I don't know if Katie does. I know Megan, Carrie, and I have open Facebook pages, so feel free to DM us. Nothing crude, people. And but any ideas y'all want to hear us talk about? Because I do want to talk soon after the Super Bowl about the updates to NIL, because that's kind of big. And then you can find Megan on Facebook at Megan Price. You can find her on IG at Megan Price, Kennedy's mom. You can also find her on Twitter, which she has a phenomenal X account. It's the Queen of Hoop. So give her a follow there. Carrie is at Chiefs Chick. Candy doesn't have a X account. However, South Florida Tribune does. And Scott runs that. Scott is Candy's husband. He's a 44-year veteran of sports writing, and he's wealth of information. He's also got a book out, and so give him a follow on X, and of course follow me as well, please, at Jenna Cheryl, the professional fan. And you can also find me on Facebook, Jennifer Matthews Lewis, Reddit. I talk a lot of crap in there sometimes. Don't downvote me, because usually there's thought process behind my thought. So, and then what else? Instagram, Jenna Cheryl, the professional fan, and follow our YouTube page, because we have sports and entertainment on there. So, we have a bunch of interviews we've done in the past. We've got Andrew Zimmern. We have Terry Spain. We have Charlie Young, who is an Eagles. If you're an Eagles fan and you don't know Charlie Young, I don't know what to tell you, because you're missing out. But
see all of you. I gotta go.
Bye.
Bye.
But that's where you can find all of us, okay? And thank you guys for everything. Carrie, let's do another show this week so we can talk more sports.
Sounds great. Love you.
All right, bye, guys.
Your birds in the background.
Keep pounding, Rob. Keep pounding, baby.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, it's ending. I don't know if it did the whole thing. I really don't know.
It did that to me last week, and I don't know. I don't know what's happening, but we'll figure it out.
It's telling me to refresh the page right now.
It says uploading recordings on my side, and I can
This
stay
is
here.
99% uploading. Oh, Megan's was unresolved.
I don't understand why, because I literally was on the post and I had just clicked options to change it, and the whole post was gone.